Who pays my medical bills after a car accident? Hi, I'm attorney Christopher Nicolaysen, the owner at Springs Law Group, a personal injury law firm here in Colorado. And I wanted to talk about who pays my medical bills after a car accident. So one of the biggest stressors that people can have after a crash is honestly getting medical treatment, but then the reality of how do I pay for that medical care? So sometimes people actually put off going to get medical treatment because they don't understand who's actually responsible for paying that medical treatment. And so like going to an urgent care or an emergency room visit or taking an ambulance from the scene of the crash if you're severely hurt, you want to do everything you can to take care of yourself because there are multiple ways that you can actually get your medical bills paid for through this process, and we're going to talk about those. So if you're injured in a car crash, one of the first things you want to do right away is seek medical treatment. And this is even if you've got bumps and bruises that you can actually see, or cuts and things like that, or broken bones, go right away. Take the ambulance from the scene of the crash to the emergency room. Alternatively, if you have soft tissue or internal injuries that you can't see and you feel just fine, and I use feel just fine, I still recommend going to an urgent care and definitely getting some x-rays done, because the things that you can't see sometimes can be true injuries that need true medical attention. And so don't put that off just because you're like, well, I don't have any money and I can't afford it, because there are ways that you can help get those things paid for through the process of the case as a whole. One important thing to do, and we have all of our clients do this right from the outset as well, is keep a detailed log of every medical care provider that they see. That can be all the way from the ambulance at the very beginning, to the urgent care that they go to then their chiropractor, physical therapist, massage, if it's any dry needling, if it's a surgery consultation. Any of those, you want to make sure that you yourself are keeping track, not only of who the doctor is, when you saw them, but also, any sort of details that you've got with it, what your pain scale was that day, how you felt, how long you were there. Any of that information can always be more helpful, because don't ever think that less information is a good thing. More information can always be truly helpful. So here's the first thing that we want you to check in regards to insurance. We want you to take a look at your auto insurance and see if you have medical payments coverage, or MedPay. Now in the state of Colorado, actually, if you choose to not accept MedPay, you would have signed a document stating that I do not want this. If you do have it, generally the minimum is around $5,000 that you could have in MedPay. And the good thing about MedPay in a crash is you can use that to help pay for those injuries. So when you're at the doctor, just tell them, hey, I have MedPay, can you please bill my MedPay or my medical payments coverage? That is where we start at, is with MedPay or medical payments coverage. So you can check and find if you have MedPay on your declarations page of your auto insurance coverage here in the state of Colorado. Next, we want you to check your actual health insurance and use your health insurance if you have it. So if you have health insurance, tell the doctor, I've got health insurance. Can you please use my health insurance? Now, it does get a little tricky here because health insurance just isn't gonna say, fine, you can use this, but you never have to pay us back. There's a thing called subrogation, or a lien that they can actually put on where they deserve to be paid back, their portion through settlements of your personal injury case. And so if you use your health insurance, which is still a much better benefit than not paying at all or paying cash, then they do have a right to be paid back out through the settlement in the long run. And so those are the first two pieces that you really want to look at. Your medical payments coverage and your health insurance is where we would start with right there to see on how, do we pay back our medical bills as a starter. So that's to get them paid through the case as a whole. And that's to help you avoid going into any sort of a collection or judgment or anything like that. We don't want that. You don't need more stress in your life due to a medical bill. The other thing too is when you hire an attorney's office, so a personal injury law firm, the other thing then too that they can do is talk to your treating doctors and your treating, medical people and tell them, we want to put this on what we call an attorney's lien. And that lien then can be something where we're agreeing to pay them back as your attorney through the settlement at the end of the case. And so that can be another thing too, where you don't have to worry about it. There's an agreement now where through the settlement, they then will get paid back at the end of the case. And that is a very safe way to go at the very end of your case as well. So then with all of it though, right, we've got medical payments coverage, we've got your health insurance, we've got liens happening on the medical bills at the moment. Then the real question is though, is how do I actually pay this stuff? And so the reality here is we're gonna look first at the at-fault driver, and we're gonna make a claim against them because they were the ones that caused the crash, and go through our treatment and go through the process, and then ultimately end up with a settlement or a verdict if we have to go into litigation. But then through that, at the very end, as part of that settlement, then everything is getting paid back. So your health insurance is getting paid back, your medical bills are getting paid back. Generally, the way that we do it at Springs Law Group is through an itemized process where we let you know each and every one of your providers, who they are and how much they're getting paid back as well for their services. Now, let's say then too, though, that the at-fault driver actually doesn't have enough insurance to cover all of your medical bills. Then what do? That's when, again, I want you to take a look at your declarations page of your insurance and see if you have UIM coverage or uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. That is going to be your safeguard, right? That's your belt and suspenders method that you want to have. So if you don't have it, I'd recommend calling your insurance agent and getting it, but it's you protecting yourself from everybody else out in society that's driving. It's your way to say, you know what, even if somebody hits me without insurance, I still have insurance to cover myself for my injuries. And so then with that is, if they don't have enough to cover you, then you can reach into your UIM coverage and ultimately get your medical bills paid that way as well. So dealing with and figuring out how to get your medical bills paid can be a real pain sometimes. It can be very complex, and it's not something, that most people have their, thumb on the pulse on exactly how this process works. The reality is, if you're kind of stuck and you're wondering what to do, I would absolutely find a personal injury law firm, like us at Springs Law Group, or somebody in your area to talk to and get information on that process. See if you're a good fit and see if they can take some of the stressors away, because at Springs Law Group, I know that's one of the things that we really try to do. We want to make the process as easy as we can for our own clients so they don't have to think about the headaches that can come with, how do I pay my medical bills during this time? And so just make sure too that you're finding someone that you can talk to, that you know, like, and trust, that you can develop a relationship with, and that you can say, hey, can you explain to me how my medical bills are getting paid through this process and help me out, help me understand that a little bit. And our personal injury attorneys at Springs Law Group can absolutely do that. So I recommend though too is actually reaching out to a lawyer as soon as you can, just so that way too they can guide you through that process early and often. Take stress away from you, but also have things set up right and properly right from the very beginning. Our big goal at Springs Law Group, honestly, is to help people. We want to make sure they get the medical care and treatment that they deserve, but also get the just compensation they deserve too. At Springs Law Group, we do what we do because you matter. We want to make sure that you understand that you matter. So the reality again is, paying your medical bills can be a pain, but having a team behind you to help do it can make life a whole lot easier when you're trying to recover from your injuries in a crash. So it's just important that you know the ins and outs. Remember, check your declarations page, see if you have MedPay. Use your health insurance if you have it and if the doctor accepts it. And then ultimately too, just remember, if you are working with an attorney's office, ask them if they are working, can do the medical bills on a lien. And so just talk to them about those three big areas, and that could be a great way to go forward. Again, knowledge is power. The more information that you have, the better decisions that you can make throughout your case. So definitely don't put your head in the sand or anything like that about your medical bills. Don't just think they're going to go away because you don't open those envelopes. Make sure that you talk to a skilled professional about how to, resolve those issues if you're having those issues, or anxiety about the medical bills as well. It's just really important to get some more information if you can. So if you do have any questions about your medical bills from your personal injury case, from your car accident, make sure you please reach out to us. Check our website at Springs Law Group. There's a ton of information on there. Reach out to us. We'd be happy to chat with you about it. We'd be happy to do an initial consultation. You can give us a call at 719-300-7554, and we'd be happy to help.